Hello, everyone. Welcome to Claret and Booze. Happy Friday. We're at the weekend, everyone. We've made it. I've had a crap week as well. Not crap, just busy. Been grafting. Not used to it. I hope you're all good. As always, if you are new to this channel, as loads of you are, thank you very much for jumping on board. But still, not all of you have. Only 64%, the last time I checked, have subscribed, that have watched our videos in the last 28 days. So the rest of you, where are you? Come on, click that button. It does really help us. Don't forget, drop a like on the video as well. So, since we last spoke, it was myself and Ryan on Wednesday night that did the live show before the Everton game. We were talking about, the lineups and everything else. We came offline before the lineups were released. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that game. Then I'm going to talk about Potable. Going to give my balanced view of what it is and what the strengths and weaknesses are and what I think that we need. And then right at the end of the show, I'm going to talk about some transfer links that I think could happen that have excited me. All right. I'm going to admit it. I'm starting to get a little bit excited now. Okay. But before we get there, let's talk about the Everton game. So, as you know, none of us wanted to see that, particularly me. But it's not just me. It's everyone. It's not just me. Nobody wanted to see that midfield of Guido and Jedwood. Nobody did. And we didn't. Potts played. Potts started. He was absolutely fantastic in the first half. We had Potts, Paqueta, James Ward-Prowse, and Irving in midfield. So we had four. Although Paqueta was playing what would otherwise be the full Krug role. He was sort of playing that number 10 free role. It's four in midfield. I thought it was a good first half, to be honest. I thought Callum Marshall, let me give Callum Marshall a mention, by the way. I thought he was tremendous. He really was. Particularly in that first 10 minutes. We came out the blocks pretty quick. I mean, we're playing against Everton, against the David Moyes team, which helps you remember. They're happy to let you have the ball. It'll take the points, but you can have the ball. Well, you didn't have either. We had the ball and the points, thanks, Dave. But it don't really matter. It's only pre-season. That felt like a real pre-season game. It almost felt a little bit like Moyes and Potter had a word before the game and agreed to play the backup players in the first half because second half we went a lot stronger. Marshall was good, really good. I was really encouraged by him. I said this after Grasshoppers. Obviously, I didn't see what he did in the Ipswich game where he scored, but he's been good. He looks like one of those players that's going to be a real pain in the arse for defenders. I'd like to see him stay. I think he offers way more than the likes of Danny Ings, who we've had here before. So to have him as an option to come on and press. Did you see him pressing? And, he twisted Keane inside out, got a whack in the face, got a free kick, and James Ward-Prowse, very close, as always, but still ain't equalled David Beckham's record. I thought the standout players from the first half were, for me, Paqueta, but Potts. Potts was a standout player, and I think Gio mentioned it on one of his videos as well. There's no real bigger indication of how important a player was in that first half, because I do think we were better in the first half than in the second half. When Potts was gone, you was like, wow, this don't look right. Bearing in mind, we put on a lot more so-called bigger names at that point as well, and we looked better in the first half. So Potts has got to. I think Potts will form part of this team, which is really good news. Really good news. He's not a youth player anymore. He's not a backup player. He's class. Potts oozes class. He does. And he's also got a bit of everything that I think that this team is going to need moving forwards. I'll go on to talk about that in a bit. So he's really going to be important to us. He is. And don't forget, we've still got Alvarez to come back as well. I'm hoping that he's going to feature against Bournemouth, because he's in and around the squad now. He looks a lot happier. But yeah, I thought that was a real good run out, and I didn't watch that game. It's not, like I said, it's not the result. It's good to win, but the performance was better. It was better, and I could see in that one green shoots. I could. Still not sure about Diouf. I'm not going to give him time. But yeah, still haven't seen him beat a man, and it looks like he's left his left foot in Prague at the minute. Obviously, you have to give him time. You do. But I had this debate with people on the WhatsApp group earlier on. He's 20, right? So if Diouf was to have come through from our academy and was promoted into the first team to sort of, show everyone what he can do and hopefully not get sent out on loan and kept around the squad, Diouf would be one of the players that you would probably be saying, he ain't ready yet. He would. That's the way it looks. But the difference between an academy player and a player you've just spent £20 million for is you've got to make that work. You have to. So I think it will. I think he's just, obviously, he needs to adapt. He's going to need time. It's a different level. But it's a much higher level that he's come from in the Czech Premier League and playing international football than what our kids who have been coming in have been playing. They've jumped up from the under-23s. Casey had a bit of a mare, bless him, but look, he had a tough gig, playing centrally against Beto. And, he'll be back. He'll be back. Don't forget, that's not an easy position to come in and make you stand when you're the last line of defence. There's a lot of pressure on you. And Declan Rice made quite a few fuck-ups when he first came in. So, keep your chin up, mate. I'm sure you're going to be fine. You'll learn from that. You really will. Good run out. Now, looking ahead against a really shit Everton team, they look like they're going to be in trouble. I don't know how close that was to their first team, but they don't look good, do they? They really don't look good, which is encouraging because we want other teams looking as shit as possible because we don't want to go down. They did look bad. Remarkably remarkably, much worse than us. So that's good. That's a positive. Because I keep hearing people saying that the 3 teams that are coming up, they could make a fist of it this year. They say that every year, though, don't they? But we'll have to wait and see. I thought Paqueta played well. I was really encouraged by it. But again, we conceded through an individual error. This is something that we've heard throughout. But Lopetegui's tactics were just fucking mental. But ever since Potter's been in, everyone says the same thing. Potter ball works, but it's individual errors that are causing us the issue. Individual errors. If we cut the individual errors out, then we're going to be fine. Well, I've got news for you. The individual errors are always going to be there in a possession-based team. So if you look at it in a sense, I don't know, if a player has a 90% pass success rate, they've had a fucking good game, a really good game. So let's be conservative and say, right, 10% of our passes, they're going to go astray. Because it's impossible to get every pass bang on. Man City players don't do it, and we haven't got players of that level. So when you're in a situation where you're making 500 to 600 passes in a game, you've got the lion's share of the ball, and you're holding that ball more often than not in defensive and deep midfield areas, which is where most of the ball is kept. That means that 50 to 60 passes are going to go astray in every game. And 2 to 3, it stands to reason, are going to lead to goal scoring opportunities for the opposition. Individual errors. You're never ever going to cut the individual errors out of what we're doing. You're not, because it's a possession-based game with a focus on retaining the ball in deep midfield and deep areas. And this is why I'm convinced that he favours the likes of Souček, James Ward-Prowse and Guido, because they don't progress the ball forward. They don't. They block, which is what he primarily wants his midfield to do. And they don't pass the ball forward too much. They don't do it, because he wants a different type of distribution moving forwards. When we distribute the ball forwards, he wants to have his midfield set, which is why he doesn't really like playing through midfield, because it's caution. And this is true. I'm going to go on to explain why. So this is why I think he favours those types of players. Because you saw when he made those changes against Man United, what was all the difference with all those players that came in? It was forward passing, it was progressive, it was tick-attacker, but in the right direction. Whereas with James Ward-Prowse, Souček and Guido, it's almost like slamming the brakes on. James Ward-Prowse has got a very good pass completion rate. He takes no risks whatsoever. And Potter's got no issue. In fact, he wants to hold the ball in what he considers to be safe areas. Except it's not safe if you lose the ball there. It's really not. And it's illustrated by the way that we attack. So how often do you see Aguirre? We'll work the ball around midfield, back to defence, and then we'll work it to, rarely to Debo, but a Kilman or an Aguirre for those long diagonal switches over midfield. Because if you do a long diagonal switch and you bypass midfield, your midfield's still set. Potter doesn't like the idea of losing the ball. But at least if he launches it over the midfield to Wan-Bissaka and Wan-Bissaka loses that one-on-one duel with a fullback, it doesn't matter too much because we're already defensively set. If we play that ball through the lines from minute one and you're trying to sort of cut teams open, if you lose the ball high up the field and your midfielder up there, Potter probably thinks you're exposed, moving back the other way. And I can understand why playing this way, I'd hate to admit it, because I don't agree with it for this reason. But I can understand why Potter has a player like Souček or an Irving or someone like that in the team who isn't as good technically. They're probably better without the ball than they are with it. Because, like I said, you've got to go back to that 10% rule. If you're making 500 passes, at least 50 of them are going to go astray. You've got to be able to recover on the turnover. You've got to be able to get back and block and get the ball back. And you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, because for us to be amazing completely and not make any pass failures whatsoever, we need 100% technical players. That's what we need. Every single player needs to be technically gifted to never get a pass wrong. But the problem that you've got is when you're sort of shopping in the market that we're shopping in, we've got specialists. So it's rare that a player is going to be absolutely amazing on the ball and amazing at recovering the ball. So you've almost got to choose one or the other. Players that are good in possession are not always the ones that are good out of possession, which is why we see a mix-up in the team. Because I think you need a Souček in there as a blocker, even though he's one of the reasons why we end up losing the ball half the time. But this is a problem, and this is why I don't overly buy into Potterball. Because if you go back to Southampton last year, tried to play football the right way, everyone called them naive. They didn't have the right players. Pass. Looks brilliant. Nothing happens. They concede. Same with Ipswich. Same with Burnley under Company. Everyone called it naive. Man City struggled playing that way last year. So I do think that we're going to struggle with it. I do. And I think he's got to either shit or get off the pot. I don't think you can have a mishmash of players. I can see why he put Souček in there, because he's nervous that when one of those balls go, when we lose a pass, you need people who can chase it and block it and get the ball back again. I know why he does it, but they're also the reasons why we end up losing the ball and causing turnovers in play. So it doesn't really work. If you're going to do this, you've got to have 100% technical players in the box. Because like I said, it's only the likes of Arsenal, Liverpool and Man City that have got players that are brilliant at both things. So they're as good out of possession as they are in possession. If we ever land a player like that, they won't be with us very long. They won't. We've like I said, we've got specialists that are good at what they do. That's the market that we're in. Those players are rarer than rocking all shit. They really are, and they're worth a fortune. So if he's going to go for the passing game, he's got to go for it. We're in this kind of sort of no man's hybrid with Potter. It's holding the ball in safe areas, creating very few chances. See, it's all about risk and reward football as far as I can see it. So if you're holding onto the ball and you're making 500 to 600 passes in a game, yes, that means that if you've got 70% of the ball, that means that 70% of the game, the opposition haven't got it. But also, when you lose the ball and it breaks down, you're in vulnerable positions as well. So to make that risk worthwhile, there's got to be a reward. The reward has got to be what you create when you're in possession. It's got to be, what you're doing with the ball. And Potter teams have never done enough. Go back and look at his time at Brighton. Averages 2 to 3 chances a game with huge possession stats. Massive. So I'm hoping that he's going to be more adventurous. And with some of the targets that we're focused on. So for instance, our team would transform completely if we had 3 ball players in midfield. It absolutely would. Would there be a little bit more risk that when that ball broke down, we'd be a little bit more exposed? Yes. But the reward would be we're creating more chances. We're going to score more goals. We might concede more, but we'll score more as well. So you've got, like I said, you've either got to shit or get off the pot. We can't do no man's land football. It's almost like it's possession for that reason, just to stop the opposition having the ball rather than what you do with it. And having that sort of switch from Aguero out to Wan-Bissaka, it's good to have that, but that can't be your main means of attack. It can't. Even against Everton, we didn't really create much. Not really. The goal that we scored, excluding the Paqueta goal, which is a goalkeeping error, the goal that we scored was Fulkrug coming back, smashing a player in the back, winning the ball himself, and then a bit of individual brilliance. Great goal with his left foot. So, and we've got the players to be more creative. So none of us know what's going to happen. He's had a little glimpse of what the kids can do. And the crazy thing is, with the style that he wants to play, the kids could make him look amazing, Potter. If he puts technical players in there, forward players, if he could just be braver and want to score more goals and want to be more creative and put the right players on the pitch, because you're only ever as good as your weakest link. You can't play a passing game with a non-passer in the team. You just can't. You're going to... If a great player is going to have a 90% pass success rate, a great player on the ball, Thomas Souček's going to have half of that. So whenever the ball goes to Souček, you're running a risk of him losing the fucking thing. So you can't put problems in your team. And he's got such options, he really has. Now, as it stands at the moment, what I'd like to see against Bournemouth, which is going to be a real test against a good Premier League team, I'd like to see close to what his first team is going to be. And I want to see Potts, I want to see Alvarez, and I want to see Paqueta in there. Because Potts and Alvarez, they're kind of hybrid 6'8s. You know, great defensive cover, great on the ball, and they play forward. They play the ball forward. That's what they do. Maybe Diouf will benefit more if we're getting the ball forward and we're being more attacking, because he is a bit of an attacking wing back. He's not really a defensive one. He's not. Even though Guilherme looked better than Diouf, and Guilherme's not even a fucking left wing back. But like I said, you've got to give him time. But we've got to play more on the front foot. We've got to give the opposition something more to think about. We've got the players to be able to do it. We really have. You know, Potter, there's so much potential in this team. There are weaknesses, but there's so much potential in this team, even if you look at the academy, that it would be mad for him to not try. You know, early in the season, give it a go. I'm hoping that's what we're going to see. You know, I'm not confident. I'm not. But what I am confident in is that we've got some great players and some great talent in this team. We've got, I listed them earlier on. We've got Bowen, we've got Fulkrug, we've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka, we've got Paqueta, and we've got Aguero. 5 players that I think are top level that would all push for a start in a top 6 team. Then you've got the likes of Guilherme, you've got the likes of Somerville, you've got the likes of Potts. And I won't list Fearon and Alford and all that because, you know, we don't know whether they're going to be part of the team or not yet. But those 3, Guilherme, Potts and Somerville, 3 amazing players on the up that could really make a statement this year. So again, that's 8 players. And then you've got other players which look good to decent. And some of them are problems. But that's a good ratio. How many teams outside the top 6 have got that many players that could push for a start in a top 6 team? There ain't that many of them. So I think we're well balanced and I think we're ready to go. Could we get some new players and be stronger? Yes, we could. Now, look, I can see I'm an Areola fan. I am. I don't want him to go anywhere. However, with the way that Potter is going to play, he isn't suited. He's just not suited. You know, one of the main things that's frustrated me under Potter is the fact that he's insisting on playing a style of football which his personnel can't play. A lot of the play, he's making them look shit. Areola's one of them. Souček's another. You know, anyone that's basically no good on the ball, they look terrible. So I do think we need a new keeper. And the one keeper that we've been linked with, bearing in mind I'm not a big goalkeeper person, and the one goalkeeper I've really had a look at is Zion Suzuki from Parma. He's the a Japanese international goalkeeper. Looks absolutely fantastic. He's an absolute beast, honestly. He's commanding as well. You know, I've watched more clips of him. He's a screamer. He shouts. He organises his defence. He commands his box. He's got lightning reflexes. He's a big specimen. So would definitely be a step up. But he ain't going to be cheap. The only thing that makes me think that we're going to push this through, because apparently we've lodged a bid for him, is because there's value for Suzuki outside of what he does on the pitch, because we're targeting that Asian market. He's massive in Japan. He's massive. So you know, in terms of shirt sales and stuff like that. So we might push that few extra million for him. We could go from 25 to 30 for a Suzuki. Now that would help. It would, because like I've said, I love Areola, but if we can go out and improve in any position, then you do it. And like I've already said, Areola, I don't think he's going to improve anymore under Potter because he's just not Potter's type of goalkeeper. He isn't shit, like people have been saying. He's far from it. This is a player that could have been our Hammer of the Year a couple of years ago. He's saved us way more points than what he's cost us, even with his mistakes. He's made some world-class saves for us over the years and was really critical in our European run. You know, in all of them, in all the European runs. You know, you've only got to go back and look at when we was in the Europa League against Sevilla at home when Enesri goes through on goal. That save that he pulled off. He's been a fantastic keeper for us, and look, he still is. I don't want us to sell him, but we do need two keepers. Someone like Suzuki, I don't think he'll be here long. If he comes in and he's amazing, you know, he'll probably be gone in a year or two because he was touted to go to a top team last year. I don't know why it didn't happen, but he is young, so. Yeah, that would be amazing. It really would be. And the other thing is midfield. Now, there's rumours that Irving is going out. He's going to go, which is I'm sad about. You know, I don't think he's a first-team player, but I think he's a good squad player. Like I said before, I think he's a jack of all trades. I think he can do a bit of everything. He always puts a shift in. He has got a good shot on him as well. And he's decent defensively. He did look lost when Potts went off the other day. But I would keep him over James Ward-Prowse and Souček. But I don't think that's going to happen. You know, unfortunately, I think that James Ward-Prowse is seen as key to Potter, mainly because of his pass completion rate, because he doesn't take risks. So he's got, you know, a 90 to 95% pass completion rate. So that's probably why he sees him as a player that he'd like to keep, even though he creates fuck all. But like I've already said, I don't think Potter's that bothered about creating much. He just wants to keep the ball, which is why he sees James Ward-Prowse as quite critical to what he's trying to do. Even though out of possession, he's about as much use as a fucking chocolate teapot because he can't close down. He ain't got the legs. You know, he's rubbish out of possession. But the other link that I'm really, really excited about is a player that we've spoken about before. We've been speaking about him all window. All the channels have. And that's Fernandes from Southampton. And he is a top player. So to be able to retain the likes of Paqueta and bring in somebody like Fernandes with Alvarez, with Potts, with these youth players that we've got as well, that hopefully will be kept around. Because fearing, I've heard people keep on saying, you got to loan him out, you got to loan. Why have we got to loan these players out? If they're good enough, keep them around and use them late in games. We should be using this season to develop players. Because there's players such as Paqueta that probably won't be here next season. And Alvarez, they will go eventually. So we should be using these players to help develop the next generation that are going to come through underneath them. I'm not in favour of loaning Fearing out. I think he's got to stay. And if he can get sort of 10 minutes, 20 minutes at the end of the game, so be it. We've got Guilherme, who's going to be fantastic this year. But Fernandes, for me, would be a brilliant signing. A fantastic signing. So that would be two signings that would absolutely improve our starting 11. Absolutely. You know, you bring Suzuki in goal and you bring Fernandes in midfield, and then we know the other one is going to be Callum Wilson. It is what it is. We know he's coming in. We just got to get used to the idea. Don't buy all the bollocks that he's on $6,000 a week retainer, by the way, because that ain't true. He's on $50,000 a week with a $25,000 a week appearance and a $25,000 a week goal bonus or something like that. That's what I've been told anyway. This story that's being pumped out there at the moment is just a way to schmooze the fans and go, look, we're only bringing him in because, you know, he's so cheap. No, that's not the case at all. And Salthouse ain't taking nothing unless he's really successful. Yeah. But look, it's done. It's dusted. There's no point crying over spilled milk. I'm more happy with the fact that we've retained so many players. And we have retained them. Paqueta's not going to go anywhere. I don't think Alvarez is going to go anywhere. Aguirre's not going to go anywhere. So when you look at the team now, we're already in a much stronger position than what we were last year. We've got, at the back, we've got Aguirre, who is a top-class defender, added to our back line. Hopefully, we're going to have Suzuki. He's probably going to be a better keeper than Areola. He's a good keeper. That's an improvement. So we've got an improvement in Aguirre. The one position where I don't feel like we've improved in yet, but that could change the more I see of him, is Diouf for Emerson. I don't see that as an upgrade. Not yet. I don't. But we've got Scholes. We have got Scholes. And Scholes is going to keep improving. And hopefully, Diouf will as well. We've got Guilherme, who looks a player now. He looks like he's going to really be involved in that first team, whereas he wasn't last year. So that's like a new signing. We've got Somerville to come back. We've got Potts as part of this team now. Hopefully we'll have Fernandes come in. We've got a Paqueta that is going to be revitalised because of this being cleared of this trial. You know, he looks so happy. He's buzzing. So that's like having a new player. We've got Fulkrug, who's lost about £6, and he looks a bit more sprightly. And, you know, we've got Bowen, we're going to have Wilson. So we're already in a better position now. If we sign those two, even without them, but if we sign those two players, we're in a very good position moving into next season. So Potter's got no excuses, and I don't want him to have. I want him to do well. I do. Like I've already said, because everything that I've said now, I'm still not confident because I really don't rate Potter from what I've seen so far. You know, I think he's too cautious and I think he's got a very exciting team. But Potter, you've got a fan base that demand free-flowing football and you've got players that can do it. And do you know what else is really frustrating? I think that you're a manager that could actually coach the type of football that we want to watch as well. You just need to take the handbrake off, mate. You need to be a bit more adventurous. Because if you give us that back, if you can convert that 70% possession into more of a bit more of an attacking impetus and going at the opposition and being a bit braver, every single fan will be on board with it. But we can't be having 70% possession and creating 2 chances when you've got these players in the team. That's not good enough. So I'm hoping that moving into next season, we're going to have... I'm hoping that's what we're going to see. We're going to see an attacking team, a fun team, and the last 3.5 years of shit football in the league, we can put it to bed. Let's hope so. We don't want to have to go through the rigmarole of changing managers again. So prove me wrong, please, God. I hope you do. You've got some good players to work with. Right, anyway, look, that is it from me. I hope you have a lovely Friday evening. And I'm going to leave you with CBeebies. Speak to you in a bit. All right, my handsomes, it's Sticky Nicky from Claret and Booze. I hope you're all well.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, as we know, Callum Wilson's set to be joining. It's been reported all week, but now TalkSport and Dharma Chef has picked it up on Sky Sports as well. And now we're just waiting. We're waiting for the man that we all love to sign. I've got a lot to say about this, but before I do, I'm going to bring someone into the show.
Hello.
Here he is. Hello, John. How you doing, mate?
Doing all right, mate.
Fucking hell.
I think it's an absolute shit show. I just think at the minute, Sullivan's actually, you know what? I think he actually, well, he probably is, if the petition is anything to go by. I think he just knows he's untouchable.
We miss out time and time and time again. So we're literally restricted. He's aligned himself with these fucking sharks, crooks, and we will only sign players. We'll get good players every now and then. We got Wan-Bissaka last year. But on the whole, the way we spend money is shit.
I've always said to you, he's happy. He has no ambition because ambition means he's got to spend and he can't siphon money out, right?
Again, I don't know what more to say to people about the petition. This has been one of the worst windows after 2 of the worst years of football I can remember as a football fan. And people can't be asked to sign a fucking petition. There's no reason, no good fucking reason. Even if you think, oh, what do petitions do? What do they... Find out. It takes 2 seconds. How stubborn have you got to be? We're helping ourselves here. You're not signing that to help me or help anyone else. This is your club. How much more do you want to take before you put your name on a petition that says, I want these cunts out, done, dusted? How much more are you going to let him take the piss out of us?